In this section, I'm going to talk about measures of dispersion. In the last section, 12.3, we talked about measures of central tendency. So that was a typical value to represent the data set. It doesn't really tell you, though, if the data set is all really bunched together close, if it's really spread out. So some ideas here. If you told somebody that the average house cost in an area was $60,000, can you have a cost of $600,000? Absolutely, because we don't know how the distribution is. If I give you an example of a pond and tell you that the average depth is 2 feet, should you walk across? Again, you don't know if it's 2 feet everywhere and then one humongous hole, or if it's straight across. So you need to know a measure of dispersion, which is what this section is about. How consistent is your data? We are going to measure the spread of my data set. We are only going to deal with 2. There are more than 2, but in this course we're going to deal with the range and the standard deviation. The range is super straightforward, and remember, you need to differentiate between range and mid-range. The range is finding, again, remember this is dispersion, how far apart are they spread. So we take the highest value and subtract the smallest value. So looking back at my fish data, if it's already in order, this helps this problem because it would be 44 minus 5, which gives me 39 pounds. That would tell me, again, how wide the dispersion. It doesn't really still tell me how consistent it is, but at least it tells me the range between the two extreme values. The second one is going to be a little bit more in detail, and yes, you can do this one in your calculator. However, I expect you to show me the work on your paper. I will not count it as correct if you just give me the answer for this problem. So standard deviation is basically looking at the mean, which we found from 12.3, and then we're saying how much does my data differ from the mean. So my sample standard deviation, which is what I'm actually calculating, is S, and we are approximating the sigma here, which looks like a kind of a cursive R. That's my population piece. Remember back to my mean. For sample, it's x bar, and for population, it's the letter mu. So for x bar, what you would need to have first, which is the mean, you take the sum of the values and divide by how many you had. So you do need that first because it's going to come into play with every single number, every single data point. So this is the formula, but I'm going to show you how to make a chart really easy for this. We're going to take each value, so this is my value, subtract the mean. If I just subtract the mean and sum it, they'll add up to 0. So we want to get rid of that possibility. So that's why we have the sum, we have the piece where we subtract the mean, then we square it, then we sum it. And we're going to make a chart to have this. Next step is to divide by n minus 1. And the last step, which a lot of people forget to do, is to take the square root of my answer there. You're expecting to get a decimal answer when you deal with this, so make sure you look at what the problem is asking for you to round to. So I'm going to look at, again, the steps of kind of what I already mentioned to you. We are going to first find the mean, super important. We're going to list each one of our values out, so they're going to go all the way down here. My sum of x we need for that mean, sum of x divided by n. Then we're going to make a column that's going to have every value subtract off the mean. But if we sum this column, we will always get 0. As long as we didn't round anything, this will always get 0. That's a good check. The last column in our chart we're going to do is we're going to square each one of those values. That is actually my numerator. So the sum of the xi minus x bar squared is actually, again, my numerator. This is actually called the sum of the squares of sum of the squared deviation. And if you stop and think about it, the words actually make sense here. You're summing the square of the deviations. The deviation is the difference. So this is the deviation This is the square, and that right there is my sum. So you'll see here, we're going to start a chart, and I've actually listed out. This is step 2. We're going to first start off with step 1, listing all the values out. Step 2, we subtract off the mean. Step 3, we square those values. Step 4, we take the sum of that value. That's, again, right here. This is the sum of square deviations. It's my numerator. Once I get that, I am going to divide by n minus 1, and this is called my variance. Y'all aren't going to deal with a lot of that in this course, but if you go on and take statistics, you will definitely deal with the variance, and it can be asked for as part of your answer. The last step, and don't forget it, take the square root of that variance. So some notes, some things I've already mentioned here. The variance is equal to the square of the standard deviation. That second column should always equal 0 as long as you didn't round. You will want to make sure you are clear and you can answer the questions. What's the variance? What is the sum of square deviations? And what's the standard deviation? The standard deviation, remember, we squared something, but we took the square root. So the standard deviation is always single units. The variance and the standard sum of square deviations, we haven't taken the square root yet, so they are squared units. We are now going to do our fish data to do this problem. So I'm going to start a chart with my fish data, and I've already kind of done that here, but you would do it. And again, it doesn't have to be in order, but it does definitely save you time. We already did this, but remember the reason why is the sum of x was 150, and we divided by 10, which gave me the 15. So I am on this problem taking x minus 15 in this column. So 5 minus 15 is negative 10. 7 minus 15 is negative 8. 9 minus 15 is a negative 6. 12 minus 15 is negative 3. 15 minus 15 is 0. 20 minus 15 is 5. And lastly, 44 minus 15 is 29. Now, again, I do understand you're going to probably take a little longer than what I said there, but a good check is that this sum here better equal 0. As long as you didn't round anything, it has to be equal to 0. If it doesn't, you did something wrong. So our third column is we're squaring those values. And remember, when we square them, we're going to be getting rid of the negative number. So it doesn't matter when you're putting it in your calculator if you type the negative or not. The squaring gets rid of the negative. So 10 squared is 100. 8 squared is 64. 6 squared is 36. 3 squared is 9. 0 squared is 0. 5 squared is 25, and 29 is definitely one you're going to need to put in your calculator, is 841. So we now sum that column. So this column, when we add them up, use your calculator, double check what you typed into your calculator. So I want you to be clear on what you just got. The sum of the squared deviations is what we just got, the 1172. That is always this bottom number, because what did we do in each column? We found the deviations in the second column, we then squared it, and the blue down the bottom is we summed them up. Now to find my variance, the variance says take, which is actually s squared, take your sum of square deviations and divide it by n minus 1. So 1172 divided by 9. Be careful. If you put that in your calculator, you should get 130.22, and that's pounds squared. This should have been pounds squared up here as well. And my last step is to take the square root of that. So to get my standard deviation, I take the square root of the 1172 over 9, which gives me 11.41 pounds. This one is single units. When I finish, variance and sum of square deviations are always squared units. Please try to not double round. So I know when I wrote the variance, I rounded to get a 130.22, but if you use that in the next step, you're going to actually make a mistake. So I want to show you real quick on the calculator how to not make that mistake. So if I'm looking at my calculator right now, I have in my calculator the 1172 divided by 9, which gives me the 130.22 as my variance. There's two ways to do this piece. You can rewrite it with the square root first, or this is actually using the answer from above. So if I use second, make sure you hit that second piece there, square root, and I want to use the answer. Notice this is the answer spot right here. That takes the whole decimal value and puts it in there. For some of you that's confusing, so it's just easier to go ahead and just redo it. Make sure you do those parentheses just to make sure you actually are doing all of it underneath. Some of you will have a calculator that already does that, but if you do not, and do not do what I just did there, make sure you put a division, you'll get the 11.41 as well. So two ways, just plug it back in, or you can use this answer button, which is down here on the top of the negative button, but make sure you use that second arrow key. So we're going to do one more like this. I want you to pause it and try to do the whole thing for yourself and make sure you're labeling everything correctly. I do recommend putting it in order first, but it's not required. But you'll notice when I did it down here in my chart, I did list them in order. So if you're going to do that, remember to cross them out as you write them down. And we're summing this column to give me the idea that I need for my mean, which has to be correct. So I'm typing into my calculator 40 plus 43 plus 50 plus 52 plus 54 plus 59 plus 62 plus 64. We should get 424. Remember here to count how many entries you have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So my n is 8. So I'm coming up here. My mean would be 424 divided by 8, which gives me 53. So for my second step, I am subtracting 53 from each piece. Fill this column in, being careful again to make sure that you subtract 53 from each one of these values and that you are careful with the positive and negatives to double check this column better equals 0. Don't keep going if it's not equal to 0, so please check that before you go to the third column. We are now going to square our answers for the second column. Remember, that's going to give you a positive. So we have 169, 100, 9, 1, 1, 36, 81, 121. Again, if any of these steps are wrong, the whole problem is wrong, so I want to stress that you need to be extra careful. So we're going to sum this column, which gives me 518. Double check what you type into your calculator. 169 plus 100 plus 9 plus 1 plus 1 plus 36, 81, and 121. That is my sum of square deviations. That is that column. Always is my sum of square deviations. They're not going to necessarily talk about this when you're doing the problems in my math hub, but if you're going through these steps, it's easier to organize. For my variance, remember we take my sum of square deviations and we divide by n minus 1. So I take the 518 and I divide by 7 because I subtract 1 from that, and that's going to give me 74 units squared. My standard deviation, do not forget, you are taking the square root of the variance. So S equals the square root of 74. Definitely, once we did this one here, you would have again taken the 518 divided by 7, press the equals. Easiest way to do is just do the second square root and then take the 74 and type it in. This is something that y'all need to be aware of. Like right now, my calculator again is in exact mode. If I don't want the exact mode, remember we use that fraction decimal key, the double arrow, and that's going to give me 8.60 units because it's single units. Variance and summa square deviations is when we have already squared the units, so it's units squared. When I'm dealing with standard deviation, I've taken the square root as my last step, so it is units singular. Double check your rounding.